For over 2 millennia, the final resting place of Cleopatra, Egypt's last Ptolemaic queen, has been a mystery. Ancient sources say she died by suicide in 30 BCE, after her defeat by Rome. And legend holds she was buried alongside her lover Mark Antony. Yet despite centuries of search, no tomb has ever been found. Now, a breathtaking new discovery has reignited hopes. In 2025, archaeologists announced they've uncovered an enormous subterranean tunnel at the temple complex of Toposiris Magna, about 25 miles west of Alexandria. Could this 1,305-meter-long geometric miracle tunnel finally lead to Cleopatra's lost tomb? We investigate the evidence. Cleopatra's story, queen and legend. Cleopatra, the seventh Philopator, was the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt. Reigned 5130 BCEA, descendant of one of Alexander the Great's generals. She was a shrewd and charismatic leader, famous for her intelligence and political acumen. Ancient historians note that she strongly identified herself with the Egyptian goddess Isis, sister wife of Osiris. Cleopatra presented herself as a living incarnation of Isis, the divine mother figure, reinforcing her claim to the Egyptian throne and forging a deep spiritual link with the land. In art and coinage, she was often depicted wearing Isis's characteristic diadem and horns. Politically, Cleopatra allied with Rome's top leaders. She bore Julius Caesar a son, and later partnered with the Roman triumvir Mark Antony. After Antony's forces were decisively defeated by Octavian at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, Antony and Cleopatra retreated to Alexandria. In the summer of 30 BCE, both died, traditionally said to be by suicide, or via the bite of an asp, his by falling on his sword. Ancient accounts record that Octavian permitted Cleopatra and Antony to be entombed together in regal fashion. Thus, legend has it that Cleopatra's tomb lies in Egypt, but its location has never been confirmed. The mystery of the tomb? Where is Cleopatra's tomb? Traditional scholarship long held that her burial place is lost beneath the waters of ancient Alexandria. Why, as one PBS documentary notes, most archaeologists believe Cleopatra was buried in her capital city, Alexandria. But that city was inundated by earthquakes and rising seas over the centuries. In fact, more than 1,000 years ago, the ancient city was hit by a tidal wave and lost beneath the water. The experts believe so too was the tomb of Cleopatra. This is echoed by experts. As one ArtNet News summary explains, Egyptologists widely believe her tomb is hidden somewhere in Alexandria, where the missing tombs of all 14 of the Ptolemaic pharaohs are expected to be. Alas, much of ancient Alexandria now lies at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. It's a chilling thought. If Cleopatra's tomb lies under the sea, it has been inaccessible to archaeologists for centuries. Nonetheless, many researchers have scanned Alexandria's offshore ruins. Some speculate it might lie near the submerged palace. Yet here's the catch. No trace of Cleopatra or Antony has ever emerged from Alexandria's underwater remains. And one international team, led by Dominican archaeologist Dr. Kathleen, believes the tomb may not be underwater at all. Martinez has long argued Cleopatra arranged to be buried elsewhere, in a temple outside the city. S. unusual theory stems from her reading of ancient texts and geography. She points out that Cleopatra took on the mantle of Isis, and that Plutarch said Cleopatra wanted to be buried as a queen in a temple. So she proposed that Cleopatra's body was moved out of Alexandria and interred in a sacred temple. Scoured ancient sources to identify temple sites, examining 21 candidate locations. Only one fit her pattern. A huge ruined complex 25 miles west of Alexandria, known as Toposiris Magna. Toposiris Magna, Temple of Osiris Isis. Toposiris Magna is an ancient temple town founded around 280 to 270 BCE by Ptolemy II Philadelphus, an ancestor of Cleopatra. Dedicated to the god Osiris, with shrines to his consort Isis, it blends Egyptian and Greek elements. Crucially, the site features twin temples of Osiris and Isis, deities intimately linked to the pharaohs. Notes that this is exactly the kind of place Cleopatra would have chosen, given her self-identification as Isis. In short, it's the only ruined temple in the area fitting both the timing and the religious significance. Over many years of excavation, this team has uncovered a trove of artifacts. at Taposiris Magna. Among the finds are coins and statues bearing Ptolemaic imagery. For instance, archaeologists have found coins minted with Cleopatra's name and portrait, as well as figures of her famed predecessor, Alexander the Great. Sacred figurines of the goddess Isis have also surfaced on site. All of these bolster the idea that Taposiris was active during Cleopatra's era, and that its priests venerated the same gods she did. Temple complex dedicated to Osiris and Isis, deities Cleopatra embodied. Coins of Cleopatra 7 found on site. Figurines of the goddess Isis uncovered. 2 alabaster statues of Ptolemaic royalty discovered nearby. Ceramic vessels and fragments suggesting an necropolis in the temple precinct. These clues intrigued Martinez. She reasoned that if Cleopatra's tomb exists, it might lie somewhere under the ruins of Taposiris Magna. However, the temple was heavily ruined, partly collapsed, and even submerged in places. In fact, archaeologists now suspect that a series of medieval earthquakes caused large sections of the temple to slide into the nearby sea. This seismic history could easily have concealed any tomb entrances or artifacts. Past explorations and hope in 2022 to 2024, Kathleen began excavating at Taposiris Magna in 2004. With a long, patient search for Cleopatra's tomb. Over the years, she and her multinational team have cataloged countless graves, temple foundations, and artifacts. They even uncovered a pharaonic era foundation deposit. Beneath a temple staircase, evidence of something grand being built, but a clear tomb remained elusive. By November 2022, S-Team reported a breakthrough. They had mapped a massive tunnel beneath the temple. Key details from 2022 discovery. The tunnel runs roughly 13 meters below ground, extending 1,300 meters under the temple, carved through solid sandstone. It is about 2 meters tall and cut with remarkable precision. Portions of the corridor are flooded with groundwater. It's likely where sea or lakes breach it. Inside, they unearthed 2 Ptolemaic period alabaster statues, burial jars, and oil lamps, consistent with the first phases of the dig. The images released by the ministry show an entrance shaft and a well-preserved tunnel cut into white rock. And her colleagues noted that the tunnel's scale is unlike anything known in Egyptian history. Its length and precision really do recall the famous tunnel of Eupalinos, which was excavated in the 6th century BCE in Greece to supply water to an ancient city. As put it, this looks like a feat of engineering meant to last, perhaps to house something momentous. Researchers theorize this tunnel may have been built in ancient times and then partially lost to the sea. Indeed, the Smithsonian reports that part of the tunnel is submerged underwater, which experts tie to historic earthquakes around 3201-303 CE that devastated the coastline. If Cleopatra's tomb lies beyond, it's understandable why it remained hidden so long. Water and rock have sealed it off. 2025 breakthrough. Tunnel mapped to 1,305 meters. Fast forward to early 2025, the tunnel has now been fully explored to its limits. Over 1,305 meters of passage have been mapped by the team. This figure was reported on March 17, 2025, by the Jerusalem Post and other outlets. The Post notes that the tunnel stretches over 1,305 meters through sandstone and stands about 2 meters tall, with parts flooded. These dimensions confirm the 2022 estimates and demonstrate the huge scope of the construction. Lead archaeologist Kathleen remains convinced this is a promising lead. As the Jerusalem Post quotes her, she has long believed that the tunnel is a promising lead to the lost tomb of Cleopatra 7. For example, she points to the temple as Osiris' devotion and the finds of coins with Cleopatra's image as evidence the site could house her burial. Indeed, the very alignment of the tunnel, running toward the heart of the temple precinct, suggests it may be an intentional passage, perhaps even a sealed corridor leading down to a tomb chamber. The 2025 tunnel highlights 1,305 meters mapped so far, running roughly north-south under the temple, carved entirely from bedrock, straight and level, reminiscent of ancient aqueducts. Scholars compare it to the tunnel of Eupalinos, a marvel of geometric precision. The southern end meets groundwater. Earlier explorer reported the tunnel originally extended underwater. S-Team reports finding a limestone block and pottery shard inside, hinting at human activity but no definitive burial goods yet. This old aqueduct model, a subterranean passage, has its skeptics. Some archaeologists suggest tunnels at Egyptian temples could have served water, drainage, or symbolic renewal, but no one expected one this big. The near-orthogonal precision, size, and length indicate a grand purpose. It's as if ancient engineers pointed a compass from Lake Mary out to the sea, meeting at this temple. If Cleopatra's tomb wasn't here, they've certainly found something remarkable. Artifacts, coins, and the controversial bust. Alongside the tunnel, 2022 to 2024 expeditions at Top Osiris turned up equally tantalizing clues. In late Arlene Arsif announced a stunning discovery, a small white marble bust, just palm-sized, carved in a classical style, which she asserted depicts Cleopatra. The Ministry of Antiquities even showcased it to the press. This statue wears a royal diadem and has distinct facial features. Believes it is a true portrait of the queen herself. At the same time, the dig unearthed 337 coins, many in pristine condition. According to Smithsonian Magazine, the team discovered a trove of coins they say depicts the famous queen. Indeed, images of Cleopatra's face have been identified on numerous coins from the site. Some of the coins even portray a youthful Cleopatra wearing the Ptolemaic royal diadem, a standard official portrait used to propagate her image across the empire. Argues that a tomb of the queen could not have much else for personal items as obvious as her own likeness. It wasn't just princely art and money. The team also recovered a variety of smaller artifacts. 2 Ptolemaic Hathor-headed oil lamps, a bronze ring inscribed for the sky goddess Hathor, and an amulet of Ra, all consistent with a cultic funerary context. These objects form a typical foundation deposit package that Egyptians often placed in tombs and temples. A hand-sized white marble head wearing a royal diadem, which identifies as Cleopatra. 337 coins of mixed Ptolemaic and Roman era, many clearly bearing Cleopatra's portrait. Harvard classicist Irene Soto notes Cleopatra's coin portrait was once the most seen image of any queen in antiquity, suggesting their historical value. 2 alabaster statues of Ptolemaic kings, and another statue of a pharaoh in traditional Egyptian style. Terracotta and stone figurines of Isis, plus Hathor, reinforcing the site's goddess cult link. Floor fragments and ceramics forming parts of a burial deposit, including alabaster jars, which hint at a sealed chamber or sacral offering pit. These remarkable finds have fueled us excitement. She argues they fit a royal burial complex. The image of Cleopatra on coins shows she was commemorated here, and the bust suggests an intimate portrait of the queen, possibly created for her tomb, but not everyone agrees. Debate among scholars. Naturally, such dramatic claims invite scrutiny. This identification of the marble bust as Cleopatra has been controversial. The Guinness Record Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass, who searched for Cleopatra's tomb in Alexandria in the 2000s, has been a vocal skeptic. In comments to the press, he declared he studied the bust and found it is not Cleopatra at all, as Roman. He notes the face on the statue lacks the distinctive features of known Ptolemaic rulers and seems to come from a later period. The Egyptian ministry itself hinted the head could be another royal woman or princess, rather than the queen. Other experts also questioned the leap from coins to tomb. Coin finds alone can only indicate activity at the site, not necessarily that the queen was buried there. And one must ask, if Cleopatra was entombed in her ancestral style, wouldn't her sarcophagus or grave goods have shown up by now? Some archaeologists caution that the tunnel and the artifacts might be related to temple rituals or waterworks, not an actual tomb. Ancient Egyptians sometimes installed hidden shafts or tunnels for ritual purposes, or as pseudo-tombs to deter grave robbers. Yet, and her supporters point out something important, no royal tomb has been found anywhere in Egypt for a Macedonian Ptolemaic monarch, except possibly the undisputed tombs of the earlier Ptolemies in Alexandria. Unlike the New Kingdom pharaohs, the Hellenistic kings and queens appear to have vanished. All 14 tombs of the Ptolemaic pharaohs, including Cleopatra's ancestors, are unlocated. If Cleopatra's tomb is here, it would finally solve a chain of mysteries. For now, the tunnel and artifacts remain circumstantial, but they warrant serious investigation. Transitional narration. With new clues in hand, what might the tomb tell us if found? Why this matters? If Cleopatra's tomb were confirmed, the impact would be monumental. Doctor herself has said that finding Cleopatra and Antony's joint tomb would rank among the greatest archaeological discoveries of our time. In 2009, Zahi Hawass famously declared it would be the most important discovery of the 21st century. Think about it. Cleopatra's image has dominated art and literature for centuries. But everything we think we know about her appearance, her ceremonies, even the manner of her death comes from Greco-Roman historians writing after the fact, often with bias. A real tomb could provide direct evidence of her life and death. For example, a queen's tomb could contain personal items, and perhaps even her mummy. It might answer questions such as, did Cleopatra truly die by an asp's bite or by poisoning? What religious titles did she adopt in death? And crucially, it would offer new data on how Ptolemaic royals were buried. Right now, Western eyes know almost nothing of how the Greek-speaking Ptolemaic dynasty practiced the sacred burial traditions of pharaonic Egypt, and others note that Cleopatra identified with Isis, who promised immortality. If they find her tomb in a temple of Osiris Isis, it could confirm that divine allegory. The scholarly community is buzzing. Some caution that caution itself is key. Dante call it Cleopatra as tomb found, until human remains or unmistakable inscriptions appear. Others say even the journey there is illuminating, revealing how the ancient Egyptians engineered subterranean complexes for water and ritual. But all agree, something extraordinary has been uncovered. As Indian Defense Review wrote, if this tunnel does lead to the tomb, it would be hailed as one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 21st century, rewriting history and deepening our understanding of the Ptolemaic era. The sands of Egypt may yet surrender one of their greatest secrets. The discovery of the 1,305-meter tunnel under Topoceros Magna has electrified historians and armchair adventurers alike. Will it finally open onto the chamber where Cleopatra VII waits? Or will it lead to something entirely unexpected? Only time and meticulous archaeology will tell. What is certain is that, with each coin, statue, and shovelful of sand, we get closer to unlocking the story of Egypt's last queen. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history's mysteries. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Cleopatra's lost tomb, please subscribe to the Dusty Scroll for more archaeology and ancient history videos. Leave a comment below. What do you think lies at the end of that tunnel? Your theories might just uncover a new twist in the tale.